All right, and it looks like we are live for episode 31 of
And
the World Map Pod. And alive, yes. We are live and alive for episode 31 of the World Map Podcast. That voice you hear is your lovely host, Clark, coming to you from New York City.
Oh, that's me, yes. For those who are listening, I probably should give them some lovely voice to hear.
Indeed. You probably should there, Daddy-O.
All right, kiddo.
Everyone, just everyone who wasn't privy to our pre-show conversation has no idea what's going on and probably finds that to be kind of creepy right now.
Oh, there are lots more things to be found creepy.
Yes, like if there happens to be a dime to be found sometime after during this podcast.
Yeah, maybe interestingly enough, I'm watching a Tom Cruise movie. Nobody knows the reference, but it's great.
Yes, it's great it's really, I'm sure our audience loves all the inside jokes.
Actually, I gotta for anybody, well, for you in particular, but I guess anybody watching, just where I happen to have it paused, Tom Cruise is bending over.
I see that. Man, well, this show's off to a rousing start. I don't even think I introduced myself, but
who are you?
I know who you are. You're Clark, aka Josh, aka Clunkster, or the Clunkster on some of those online platforms. Check out our website, worldmapcast.com, if you want to find us on all the game platforms that we're on. Get those usernames. I'm your other host, Josh, aka JD, aka Thunder Hokey, aka James Sorius on Battle.net. Man,
why have you not used that on anything else? Just curious.
Well,
and why James?
When I was a kid, and right around when I got my first Battle.net account, so I guess what would that have been, like the first Diablo? Was that the first Battle.net game? Or was Warcraft? Warcraft 2? I know Warcraft 1 was just peer-to-peer, right? So.
Yeah, and Warcraft 2 had two of them, a Battle.net edition and then a non-Battle.net edition, which is the one that I had. So we still did that peer-to-peer as well.
Yeah, but I thought James was like the coolest name back then. I was like, man, I really wish I was a James instead of a Josh. I don't know why I thought that. And then most people might think that the Saurius part is like Saurus, like a dinosaur, and that I thought dinosaurs were cool, which don't get me wrong, dinosaurs are awesome. But actually, I thought it sounded like a cool, like medieval, like knight's name to be like James Sorius. I don't know why. I don't know where I got that. Like why I thought that. My brain
to Google James Sorius and see.
And then I never used it in anything else because like I didn't really have usernames in other. There weren't other online things until Xbox Live, and my original Xbox Live was like Linkage.
Uh-huh.
Which was supposed to be like a cool surfer dude version of Link from Zelda.
Mm-hmm.
It's ironic that it wasn't on a Nintendo platform because they wouldn't discover the internet until 10 years later. But somehow I lost access to that Xbox Live account, and I did the Thunder Hokey thing after my alma maters when I got back into online gaming on the 360, and I forgot that Battle.net was a thing until I guess like Diablo 3 or came out or something like that, or StarCraft 2, Wings of Liberty or whatever. So I don't know. I just kind of forgot that James Sorius was there. And
I have to say something. I just Googled James Sorius just to see what pops up. Your Thunder Hokey IGN profile is 3rd on Google. But interestingly enough, the very first thing that shows up is James Glorious on Twitter.
I'm going to have to track this James Glorious guy down and have a chat with him. Well, now that we've successfully conveyed to everyone who we are, or probably confused them even more, but hey, there are 30 episodes before this one you could go back and listen to and figure all that out. So
yeah, you might learn who we are.
Maybe. You may get to know us a little bit. We should probably just move on to what we've been playing this week.
Alrighty.
In the backlog. So I know you've had a busy week there, Mr. Attorney, but you still fit in some Xenoblade Chronicles X.
Yes, well, with my busy attorney schedule, I've only been able to fit one game in this week, and it's a big game. So I was only able to squeeze in about 30, 35 hours of gameage, so that pretty much. So that's probably why it looks like I have had no sleep. in the past week. But wow, the game is huge. I probably have not even gotten through 20% of it. And a lot of the complaints I had earlier regarding the storyline in Xenoblade Chronicles and the voice acting, etc., all of that still applies. But gosh, it's just such a beautiful place to explore. You just start playing it, and then hours later, when your Wii U gamepad battery dies, and which I guess really is just 4 hours later, you realize, oh crap, I'm stuck getting attacked by monsters. Now I'm gonna die. But then you look at the clock, and it's, oh, I've been playing for this long, I should sleep. But you don't. You just plug it in and you keep playing because the world is really that immersive. I mean, there's something about just walking for 20 minutes and then stumbling into this new land with these giant dinosaur-looking things. Because dinosaurs are cool. One might even be named James Sorius. I'm not sure yet. And it's funny because they don't seem to attack you, those really giant, massive ones. And so I'm running around, and then all of a sudden this little flower shoots up out of the ground and starts killing me. It's like, what the heck? I have to watch out for the vegetation now? That's ridiculous, but it's still fun.
You should have known by now, man. Those Deku scrubs should have trained you to watch out for
it is on a Nintendo platform. So the other thing I keep thinking of is, if this game looks this amazing, the art direction on the Wii U, I'm trying to imagine what it would look like on PC or PS4.
Maybe we'll find out someday. Is Xenoblade's first party, though, right? Is it?
Yeah, it was Monolith Studios or software, and they're Nintendo owned, so they're not going to be making anything for any other platform anytime soon, as far as I could tell.
Gonna have to emulate it. Maybe somebody will emulate it and then like mod it to up-res the graphics.
Right.
But by then, I'm sure you'll be long done with it. I tried to get back into some PC gaming this week, and I tried out that Depression Quest game that you mentioned on a previous show. Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
I mean, I wouldn't say game is the best way. I mean, game is, I guess, the best way to describe it because it's interactive, but it's almost like a crash course in understanding somebody with depression.
My guess on how it looks, and I'm sure this is easy to verify, but I didn't look it up, but I would imagine that this game was made with Twine, which is kind of an interactive storytelling platform that's open source to create games on. It's actually the one that I've been experimenting around with a little bit in my copious amounts of free time that Fallout 4 doesn't take up, which is about 30 minutes a week. And it looks very much like that. So, but it, very, very interesting. I kind of had like the WebMD effect when I was playing it, where like, oh, some days I kind of feel like this, but seriously though, I'd hope to see more people do this sort of thing to help help others like understand and remove stigma around certain things like this. So kind of a cool little game there. I also tried to play Elder Scrolls Online, even though like I have been wanting to jump into that for a while because I loved Skyrim. And I always wanted Skyrim to be able to be online and wanted somebody there with me doing the quests. And Nick has actually spoken pretty favorably of Elder Scrolls Online when he's tried it. And this was the free-to-play weekend where you can get a code. You don't have to pay the $60, and you can download it and play it for free. Plus, if you were to play it this weekend, I think before about 3 a.m. Monday Eastern time, so you still have a little time left, you get entered into a chance, and you have to fill out a little form to win $1 million. So they're like doing this big push that they announced at the Game Awards to get people to play the game for the first time, to try it. So I want to do that. I want to at least try it because I'm in the middle of Fallout 4. I love Bethesda games. I love Elder Scrolls games, and just never really had time to get into this one. But I thought, hey, I'll go in and create a character and do like one quest if I might win $1 million doing that. But unfortunately, I don't know. There must be something up with Bethesda's servers because it's downloading at about, I don't know, probably less than a quarter of the speed at which my download speed actually is on my internet connection. So they must just be getting hammered right now with people trying to download this and try it. But I'm hoping that it's done in time for me to try it sometime tonight. I paused it so that it didn't affect my video feed speed for the podcast. But after this, I'll be firing that back up. But a couple of things I did dive into. I won't talk too much about Fallout 4 because I've talked about it on the show a ton, but that is what I spent the majority of my game time playing. Still, I have pretty much decided I'm going to platinum Fallout 4 at this point.
Nice.
I'm about level 22 right now, so I've still got a ways to go. And I also tried a couple of new games on PlayStation 4. Well, one new game, one new to me because it was on PS Plus this month. And the PS Plus game was King's Quest, which is a remake of the old text adventure game, from PC days, long time ago. And they remade this recently. I think they probably put it on PS Plus because the second episode is about to come out. And I've played through about half of the first episode so far. And out of all of the adventure games, and they're not really like a genre that I'm very much into, but out of all of them that I've played recently, including Telltale's stuff with The Walking Dead Season 2 and Broken Age, which was free on PS Plus a little while back, and Double Fine's game that was very critically acclaimed, this remake of King's Quest is probably my favorite. And I think primarily because it focuses a little less on what's in your inventory and just kind of randomly touching it on everything on the screen, trying to make something work for some puzzle that makes no sense whatsoever. And it focuses more on the progression of things that you do and having conversations and just sort of pulling you along through the story. It's much more story-centric, and it's funnier. It's very humorous in the way that it's written.
I'm laughing just hearing that description.
Exactly. Well, and it's unique in how it tells the story because the main character from the original games is now an old man. Mm-hmm. And so he's like bearded and old, and he's telling his grandkids the story of sort of how he became the king and how he started his quest onto knighthood and that sort of thing. And so there are these little interruptions throughout, or if you die, one of the kids will be like, oh, that's not how it happened. And he'll be like, oh, that's right, it's not. And so it's like you're not really dying. It's just the grandpa was like fibbing, telling the story wrong. And then when you continue, it goes back to where you left off. So really cleverly done. I really like the story, and the voice acting is superb. It's just the characters' voices match up exactly like you think they would. It's got this cartoony vibe, and it's just over the top enough to make you sort of chuckle as you're playing along and pull you through. And even though from a pure gameplay perspective, it's not doing anything that really made me enjoy it that way, but it was hard for me to put it down and go back to Fallout because I was enjoying the visuals and the storytelling and the humor so much. So I would say King's Quest is worth giving a try. The new game, though, is one that was announced at PlayStation Experience, which is a free-to-play game on PS4 called Guns Up. Have you seen this at all?
I have not seen this at all. I've been too busy lost in Primordia.
Well, as long as it wasn't Primordial Ooze.
I wish.
Just don't get lost in your own Primordial Ooze there. Guns Up. Yes. So where do I start?
From the beginning or the end. You can Tarantino this. I'm okay with that.
It's at face value, this looks like a pretty cool little tower defense type game. What it boils down to, and I tweeted this out earlier this week, it's Clash of Clans side scroller. So instead of the top down build your base and then go find other people online to go and attack their base with whatever troops you've managed to build up from just tapping the screen enough times and whatnot. Instead of that, it's the same thing, but it's side scroller instead of an isometric view. And so you're dropping your minions on the left side of the screen and advancing towards the right side of the screen to try and take out someone's base that they've built up, and they build it up in a tower defense sort of way. It's just riddled with cooldowns and microtransactions and all that stuff that when you hear free to play, you kind of dread, and you really hope they're just doing the cool cosmetic stuff, but it turns out it's not that at all. It is the very heavily microtransaction-y kind of muddled experience. And I enjoyed it at first because there are some cool power-ups. Like when you destroy buildings, sometimes you'll get a random power-up that you can grab. and it'll be like a missile strike or tear gas that stuns the enemy defending units and things like that. But it got kind of tedious after just a few rounds because I hadn't played enough or waited enough to unlock something new, or I hadn't paid to unlock something new yet either. And so it was just kind of going to be a lot of the same thing and a lot of waiting on cooldowns and that sort of stuff. So I don't know, if you're into Clash of Clans, which I'll admit it got its hooks into me on iOS for a couple of months, because it's just something that's like fast and easy to play a couple rounds of and something to do when you're bored on your phone. But for a console, I feel like you want a different experience than that. You don't sit down at your console because you're bored and you just want like something light to play, right? That's why you have things like that on your phone. So I think it wasn't a great idea to recreate something that works well on a mobile platform on the console. I feel like we need a console experience on the console. So
yeah, I completely agree with that. Interestingly, that's the strategy Nintendo typically seems to use, like with the way it differentiates what it puts on handhelds versus consoles. You know, and that's one of the things why I think the big AAA titles typically didn't work well on the Vita, because people usually want to play those kinds of things on the console, and when they're on the go, they don't have as much time to play, because if they're at home, why not just play it on the console anyway?
Yeah, although the Vita, I agree with the general marketplace, the general population of gamer, but for me personally, I do wish the Vita had gotten more AAA support early on. I would have loved to have seen an Infamous and a God of War and some of those titles on the Vita.
What I would have liked is, instead of trying to push its, gimmicky features and throwing all kinds of stuff behind the AAA titles, I would have liked it if they just hardcore demonstrated how awesome the indies on it would be, rather than letting that kind of take off via PS Plus.
Agreed. That yeah. I will say, Gravity Rush.
Yeah, that's I can't wait for part 2.
Yeah, me too. That was actually my first platinum ever.
Mine too.
Was Gravity Rush. I don't really like how it used some of the touch and motion control type stuff. I think even if you do away with all that, just the character and the concept of how the gameplay works and the fighting mechanics in that game, they're great. So I think you're right. If they threw out the gimmicky stuff and just focused on, you have a handheld that looks beautiful and it has dual sticks and it's got a lot of power behind it for a handheld, they probably would have been a little more successful there. But
yeah, I think so.
Although, speaking of the Vita, we know Bastion for Vita finally came out, and I did not play it.
What? You've been talking about it every week.
Well, so it is cross-buy, so I was able, as soon as it finally showed up in the store, I was able to just download it. But when I opened it up, I found out the trophy lists are combined with the PS4 version, so I'm not going to get
to play it.
Yeah,
other than for the gameplay.
Well, yeah, and the gameplay is excellent, and so, if it had trophies, I would have spent my whole week probably playing Bastion for Vita instead of Fallout 4, because I love that game and would love to platinum it on yet another platform. I've 100%ed it on PC and Xbox platforms as well. But now I'm just going to wait, until I'm at a family thing for holidays or on a flight or something like that, and that's when I'll save that game to play now, since I'm not going to get any trophies out of it anyway. But it's there, and if you haven't played it, it's super cheap and one of the best games of all time. So here I am preaching for Bastion yet again,
but haven't played it this time.
Yeah, without having played it. All right, well, why don't we go ahead then and talk about, it's been a pretty big news week, so let's call in the news motorcycle.
Oh wait, hold that motorcycle real quick. I have something else to rant about.
Putting on the brakes.
Yes, the brakes. When you were talking about Elder Scrolls Online in the multiplayer, it just reminded me of another big gripe I have with Xenoblade, and that's the multiplayer.
Tell me more about this multiplayer.
Okay.
But tell it to me real slow.
All right. Well, anyway, to play multiplayer online with friends, first you need to be in the same online squad as them. But that doesn't mean you're in the same world together. There's just an NPC version of your friend in that world with you. And then you have to complete some squad tasks. And then once that's done, then a squad mission becomes available. You have to enter that squad mission and either wait for your friend to enter that separately, or you have to recruit their NPC character and then enter the mission, at which point they're giving the opportunity to join you. And then if all of that happens, then you can do a little miniature mission together in real time, Monster Hunter style. And then once that's finished, you're not playing multiplayer together anymore. But if somebody else in that entire kind of squad, as they call it, enters the mission instead, then you're locked out of it. And you have to do a whole bunch of crap hours later just to be able to play online with your friend.
I have no idea at all what you just said.
Let's just say that it's harder than the usual.
So complicated.
Yeah, it's harder than Wii friend codes.
I just, I want to cry at how bad Nintendo is at online. Like, I hope they hire somebody with this whole NX thing right around the corner just to get it right. Because if they could get that right, game over, man. Come on. I mean, that and some third-party support.
Yeah. No, I just had to complain about that because that was something I was looking forward to and only got to play once with someone that wasn't somebody I know because they kind of bumped my friend off the squad.
Great. That's awesome. Yeah. Go Nintendo. Love it. Hey, I think the brakes on that news motorcycle are giving out. It's rolling. Whoa. It's just coming right on down the hill now. So it's Star Wars week.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm a little disappointed in you because I found out from you this week that you're not going to see Star Wars at release.
Right. See, here's the thing. See, I want to experience the movie. I don't want to experience the crowd that will inevitably be loud and cheer during certain parts of the movie and be obnoxious and all that other stuff. So I actually want to enjoy the movie itself.
I totally understand that because I remember going to see, it was one of the prequels.
Right. Oh, okay. I remember
also The Matrix. Yes. I did see that movie as well. You're correct. Okay, well, so we've seen a lot of midnight premieres together,
and it's always so annoying. Actually, I hate it.
You're right.
Waiting in line is the most fun part of it.
Yeah, well, I understand a little bit because I do remember one of the prequels going to see it at release, and like you got guys like waving their lightsabers that they were for some reason allowed to bring into the theater. I bet you're not allowed to bring any of that stuff in now. Probably,
especially not here in New York. No.
Yeah, all the shooting. I wouldn't be surprised if they got patted down.
That's the other reason. I'll just wait till I can see if anyone in the crowd is.
I kind of more like, do I carry to the theater to protect myself, or do I not take it because they're probably going to pat me down? Like, I don't even know at this point. But yeah, I remember and you're right. People do, and it's so cool to be part of that, to be there, like with all the people who are just as enthusiastic as you are, and they're like cheering and stuff. But I am not one of those people. I'm cheering on the inside. I might even have like a tear during the Force Awakens at some point. But I am going to be totally quiet because I want to focus. I want to just soak it in. Yeah. So I get that, but my extreme levels of fandom will not. I mean, look, I got Poe Dameron and Captain Phasma bobbleheads behind me already. I mean, I couldn't even resist that. But yeah, I'm going to be seeing it Thursday. The official release date is Friday. There's a couple showings. The earliest possible showing is Thursday at 7:15 p.m. and I will be there. I will promise not to spoil it for you.
All right.
I can't promise that I won't taint your opinion of it and tell you what I thought.
Oh, that one. I'm too stubborn for that to taint my opinion.
True enough. I may do. Listeners of the World Map podcast should keep an eye out because I may do a quick map key video with my reactions Thursday night.
Wait, is that with Polygon or IGN? I forget.
Yeah. Bastards. They actually, they stopped after we talked about it on the show, and I sent them a nice email. They stopped using that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Not to mention, I registered with the Copyright Office. but I still don't have the certificate for that. It can take like 6 months.
Well, that is the government for you.
Indeed, it is. But no real news there. The news is it is Star Wars week.
Yes.
So prepare your bodies to
Okay, Reg.
be entered by
Wait,
by an X-wing or something.
The
By the way,
Force.
did you check out this sweet hot dog / wiener dog shirt I have on? I mean, it's like
I don't know if it's that sweet, you know.
I don't know. Well, it might be
But
salty.
it is really cool.
Also, bam! How many episodes now have we mentioned hot dogs?
I have not kept count.
Somebody out there, go back, listen to all of the episodes. Tell us how many times we've talked about hot dogs.
And
Write in to worldmapcast@gmail.com. Very important mission.
And you might get a prize, and that prize is something that doesn't exist.
Or is shaped like a hot dog.
Yes. Take that however you will.
This episode keeps getting creepier. We need to flash Tom Cruise one more time. And he does it. By the way, if you're listening to the podcast on audio, this is a live show every week. You can watch the video, and that way you don't miss out on Tom Cruise's ass.
Interestingly
Also,
enough,
I hope you didn't show too long of that, so that we don't get copyright issues.
well, no, it's a single frame, so it's okay. But just if you want to know, the movie, interestingly enough, is titled "A Few Good Men."
Oh, that's not risky business?
No, I'm not that risky. All right.
What about risque?
The audience could decide.
Fair enough. So it's a good time to be a nerd. Not only is it Star Wars week, there was 2 trailers that dropped this week. One for X-Men Age of Apocalypse. Actually, it's just called X-Men Apocalypse. I keep calling it by the 90s comic run that it was based on. But it's just called X-Men Apocalypse.
Mm-hmm.
We got that trailer.
And Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, right?
Yes, that is correct. Not The Secret of the Ooze.
Which would be really cool if that was the subtitle.
It would be. But this is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, sequel to the Michael Bay reboot.
Yeah. We'll see.
I am stoked about that trailer.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I'm still thinking about this Secret of the Ooze, honestly, because I think that would explain why the turtles look like that in Michael Bay version.
They do look really freaking weird in the Michael Bay movies.
Yeah.
But I kind of like it. I mean, I've talked about before, it took me a long time to watch the reboot because of all the hate that was spewed toward it, and I thought it was kind of okay.
Well, see, here's the problem that a lot of people, they thought like, oh, they're ruining the essence of the turtles, or oh, this isn't serious enough, or oh, this is too silly or goofy. Go back and watch the cartoon show, any iteration of it, or go back and watch the old movies, or play the games. They are all completely ridiculous.
Speaking of the cartoon show, 2 of the best, most awesome, most hilarious slapstick comedy villains in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles history were in that original animated cartoon series. Bebop and Rocksteady are going to make their return to the Turtles franchise in this film. First time ever that they will be featured in a Turtles film. How did it take so long?
I don't know. Like, it bothered... Okay, going back to Secret of the Ooze again, I was annoyed that those 2 mutants were not Bebop and Rocksteady in that version.
Yeah, why Taka and Razor, man?
I have no idea.
Sense. And then we got to fight them in the Turtles in Time video game on SNES, so that was cool. But we would have just fought Bebop and Rocksteady instead. Like, I don't understand why they felt like they had to make the movies slightly different back then. It's weird.
I don't know.
Also, what was that Asian guy's name in Secret of the Ooze? The pizza delivery guy, but he was also a ninja because he was Asian. And in the 90s, if you were Asian, you're automatically a ninja because it was really racist back then. Was it Gino or Kino?
See, the thing is, I want to say Gino, but also I'm thinking of Mario RPG, so I don't know if that's correct.
Or Gino's Pizza and Spaghetti. We make it pizza-rific. Sorry,
going back to your radio announcing days, huh?
Dude, we should see if Gino's wants to sponsor the show.
All right.
I think the parent company is the same one for Tudor's Biscuit World, which It's just like coming home. Is that what their jingle is? Or did I make that up just now?
I think that is Tudor's Biscuit World, but I don't know.
Everyone outside of Appalachia has no clue what the hell we're talking about right now.
What is Tudor's?
There is a biscuit chain. Yes, a biscuit chain in Appalachia called Tudor's Biscuit World. It's in like Ohio, West Virginia, a couple other places maybe.
And even though they are biscuits, don't worry, friends, because heart disease is in every single item that they sell. So
yes, in fact, sugar flaked ham is a real menu item that they have there.
And it's sugary goodness, I must say.
Can't say I've ever had that one. So we're in agreement that this Turtles thing looks cool. What about the new X-Men movie? Are you burned out on these by now? You know, we've had 1, 2, 3, Wolverine Origins, Wolverine something or another else, Days of Future Past, First Class. Like, there's been a lot of X-Men movies. Are we oversaturated?
I personally am. Apparently, the world isn't, because they're making yet another one. But no, it's like there are so many different superheroes they could focus on. I'm tired of X-Men at this point. You know, give me something else.
Yeah, I wonder when Fox's license runs out on this X-Men stuff, because I feel like Fox with the X-Men and Sony with Spider-Man was just the worst thing to ever happen to the Marvel Universe, because all the Disney-produced stuff like Avengers has been doing really well, and they've done a good job at focusing on – I mean, we got an Ant-Man movie, for crying out loud. You know, we're getting a Deadpool movie in February, so I feel like everything just needs to be brought back under one house. I will say this was one of my favorite storylines from the comics, and I'm glad to see – although a lot of the First Class people are in here, I'm glad to see some fresh faces. You know, a couple of mutants being played by new characters, a couple of new mutants that we haven't really – they've been in the films before, but they never had a lot of a focus around them. Like Psylocke, for example, will be in this one, portrayed by Olivia Munn. So, I don't know. I mean, it's X-Men. I'll see it, so I'm part of the problem.
Yeah. Good job, Josh, JD.
James Soros.
James Soros.
Can't leave that out, man. James Glorious.
James Glorious. Yeah. It's funny. His Twitter, from what I saw, it's like seems pretty new. He does almost nothing on it. Now he's going to get all these
egg? Is he an egg?
Yeah, he's an egg.
Oh, God. I hate those eggs.
I know. I mean,
those are always the people who are like the worst on Twitter, too. They'll like start fighting with you for no reason at all.
Yeah. Then again, if you're going to fight with somebody for no reason, why would you not pick an egg?
Indeed. So do you listen to podcasts?
I listen to some of them, yes.
What are some of your favorites? Some of the ones you like to listen to the most, also known as your favorites, also known as ones you like to listen to the most.
Well, I will have to say that my absolute favorite, I don't know if you've heard of it. It's the World Map Podcast.
Really? You like that show?
I mean, the people on it sound kind of funny, you know, a little nerdy, but that's exactly what I'm looking for in a podcast.
Not to be confused with Kind of Funny, because I don't want to get sued. I love you, Greg Miller.
Yeah, no, that's the main one. And then our previous guest we had on, Mike Drucker, is How to Be a Person, I think it was called. I don't know. I don't remember the name of it. I subscribe and then I just listen to the words.
Fair enough. I believe you are correct on that one. Well, I don't know if you listened to this little thing called Serial that happened last year or a couple years ago. It kind of, a lot of mainstream media were like, Serial's revitalizing podcast. It's like starting the podcast renaissance. Podcasts are a thing now. And I'm like,
they were already a thing. They didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. So it's like, oh, no, you finally just decided to pay attention to podcasts because NPR had one, like, hit the charts so well, you know, like, come on. But I did enjoy at least the first half of season 1 of Serial last time around. And season 2 has started as of this week. It's about the Army deserter, Bo Bergdahl. So I haven't had a chance to start it yet, but I thought I should mention that that's out there now. If folks want to go give that a listen to, I'll probably be talking about it on future episodes of the show. If you haven't listened to season 1, I think I still recommend it, even though several of the last episodes are really just a lot of speculating with no new information, and then there's really not an ending. And I know that sounds like a thing that I shouldn't recommend, and then you're like, oh, I don't want to put all this time into listening to something. But the first several episodes are so compelling and so good at drawing you in and making you think and come up with your own theories about what happened in this murder mystery that I think I still recommend people going to listen to that. So season 2's out there. We'll see how that one goes. Yeah. A couple other things I'll just run down real quickly in the news. We got rumors that Will Smith is we know he's playing Deadshot in Suicide Squad this August. There's some rumors swirling that he's going to be in the first standalone Batman movie with Ben Affleck, which will be Ben Affleck's third Bat film after Batman vs. Superman and Suicide Squad, which people are saying he's probably going to have some appearance in Suicide Squad. So there's that news. Interesting. Towerfall Ascension launches on the Vita, on the PlayStation Vita, this Tuesday, December 15th.
No online play, though.
Still no online play. So it's worse than like on PS4 where you have to do couch co-op. You have to actually do the like near field communication multiplayer through 2 Vitas. So it's actually even harder to play multiplayer than on the PS4 because you have to find somebody else who has a Vita.
Yeah, and I found one once. It was interesting. I thought it was a ghost.
Yeah. Well, the single-player content will still be there, though.
Yes. Which is like, exactly the same as the multiplayer content.
yeah, pretty much. So I think, I'll probably play some Towerfall on the Vita. It's going to be cross-buy, so why not? Get it for free anyway. But even bigger news coming Tuesday. There's going to be a Smash Brothers-centric Nintendo Direct that's going to include more details on how Cloud's going to play in Smash Bros. When Cloud releases in the game. We may get some other stuff out of that. I know you're probably pretty excited for that one.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think there has to be at least one more character because if they're dedicating an entire Nintendo Direct to it, that's at least half an hour, and they can't talk about Cloud for half an hour. So I know there's probably going to be more levels, definitely more costumes, and probably at least another character is my guess. Also, they said this is the final just Super Smash Brothers centric Nintendo Direct that they will be releasing. Of course, I'm not sure whether to believe that because they also said that Smash won't have DLC, and they said that they're not going to be these other new characters, etc. So I don't know, but I'm kind of excited for that, definitely.
What if the other character they announced is from Yokai Watch?
I'd rather have Reggie in there and like have him doing some weird dance as a taunt.
That would be awesome if Reggie became a playable character and he was dancing in there. That Yokai Watch video with Reggie dancing this week, he's already like kind of a big, like weird, awkward looking dude. And then like to have him doing this even more awkward dance was just kind of funny. Again, no copyright Greg Miller 2015, but man.
It was hilarious.
Reggie's one of the coolest guys. I just really like Reggie. All of Nintendo's executives are always so likable.
I noticed that. I mean, well, not to their investors.
Yeah, good one.
Speaking of weird dancing real quick, I know this isn't on our list, but I don't know. Were you a fan of Gangnam Style back when it
Dude, Psy is the man. Are you kidding me? There are probably videos of me out there dancing to that song that I don't want to hit the internet ever.
He has a new video out for a song of his called Daddy, and it has creepy, crazy videos that's also hilarious, and some of that awesome, awkward dancing going on as well.
What if Psy becomes the next playable character in Smash Bros?
Well, then I think that there's no reason to play any other games or watch any other TV at that point.
If we get Psy with a like horsey riding taunt, I would never play another game. Also, that probably sell a lot of units in Korea.
Oh, probably. Actually, I don't even think the system's in Korea right now, but
get on it, Nintendo.
I know.
So you remember Star Wars 1313?
Yes, but for those of you who are not, Star Wars aficionados, it's not the version that came out in the year 1313 because that doesn't exist.
That is true. No video games quite yet back then, but It was the game that was canceled, that was in development, and then Lucasfilm was bought by Disney, as everybody knows, and they kind of put everything on hold. We thought probably this game was canceled, and it was a game about Boba Fett, supposed to take place somewhere between him being a kid in the Clone Wars animated series and him being a full-fledged bounty hunter by the original trilogy, and kind of his formative days as a bounty hunter in Coruscant. 1313 actually refers to one of the levels of Coruscant. Apparently, Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy told Slash Film this week that they're looking to explore some of the old Lucasfilm ideas, including 1313 and the Star Wars live-action TV series that was reportedly in the works. I'm very interested in both of those things, actually, but the game, actually very interested in. The live-action TV series, I worry about the same thing we were talking about with X-Men, like oversaturation. Like, do we really want a cartoon series and a TV series and like all of these things going on concurrently when they're already releasing spin-off movies in between each of the new trilogy movies?
I have a different worry about the Star Wars live-action series because there is so much great stuff in Star Wars. You can make it great and not oversaturate everything. The worry I have is if they would do something similar to like what was done with the Avengers and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. In other words, making the show about something you really don't care about.
I agree, because I think the new extended universe stuff so far has fallen largely into that category, whereas the old EU focused around the characters that we kind of know and love and people related to them. There's been a lot of these kind of one-off weird new people introduced that I haven't yet been developed as characters, and I therefore have not a lot of reason to care about them. So I think you're very much correct there. So this Final Fantasy VII remake, we're very excited about it.
Every time I hear news about it, I'm less and less excited.
I mean, after the E3 announcement, we were super, super excited. And then after we saw more of it at PlayStation Experience, we got to see some of the combat system. We got to see some actual gameplay. I became even more excited about it. And then after PSX, we find out it's going to be episodic. Yes. And also perhaps expand on the original Final Fantasy VII story. I start to have worries. I try to keep an open mind, but I start to have worries here.
Same here. And one reason they say they're making it episodic is because they want to, make more of Midgar explorable and then expand on different areas in the world and in the game that they couldn't expand on as a whole, because I guess they wouldn't have enough development time to make all of it into one big game like they did, the last time when they first made it. So that worries me because for a couple of reasons. One, I want to play Final Fantasy VII the way it was, but with better graphics and translation. Two, I suspect they'll be charging full price for each of these episodes. And three, I don't know I said two, so I guess three things. I don't know how much time there will be between each of the episodes and how long you'll have to wait, and how your stats and everything will carry over from one to the other. Whenever you play one part of it, will there be some kind of conclusion so that if you don't get further ones, you still feel satisfied? I have no idea. These are all questions that really bother me.
Here's the thing. Can we just read these quotes and how conflicting they are? The game's director, Tetsuya Nomura, says that if they didn't do the game episodically in the remake, that they would have to cut some parts of it. Okay, so I take a little issue with that to begin with, because you didn't have to cut parts of it from the first time you made it. So to me, it's like maybe saying we wouldn't be able to release it as early as we want to, maybe, if they didn't do it episodically. Whatever. All that aside, here's the director of the game saying they would have to cut some parts if they didn't make it episodic. But then, turn around a couple days later, the producer, Yoshinori Kitase, says the multi-part format enables us to expand the original story and turn it into an epic experience for fans and new gamers alike. So you have the director saying that episodic is because they would have to cut stuff if they don't do it. But then the producer says, oh no, it's episodic because we want to do more than what was in the original. So they're conflicting statements. If you were just making the original game, you wouldn't have to do it to cut some things. You're doing it because you're adding things.
Right. And honestly, I still predict some things are going to be cut anyway. Like that really cool strategy, almost tower defense type mini game near Cosmo Canyon or in Cosmo Canyon. I suspect that's not going to be in there at all, for example.
Maybe they'll make that just like a mobile game that comes out like a week beforehand.
Yeah, so
that would be the 2015, 2016 translation of that.
Right. Yes. And then you get to pay little bits of extra money for different costumes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Gaming these days, I tell you. Well, speaking of that, I wanted to have a conversation, a little bonus round about how gaming has changed, I guess, but not too long ago, just in recent years. What were the strongest game years of this decade? So I think that segues into that really well. So we'll go ahead and we'll just talk about it really quick.
All right.
So here comes a little bonus round action. So I got to thinking a little bit about this because I started thinking about, man, what's my game of the year going to be? And we've been floating that around a little bit, and we'll certainly do a show where we talk about our 2015 games of the year here soon, probably beginning of the year in January. But I got to thinking about, wow, there's just too much to keep up with this year. It's been such a great year for gaming, but it hasn't been the best year for gaming this decade. So this year we've had Rocket League, Metal Gear Solid 5, Fallout 4, Halo 5, Witcher 3, Bloodborne, Rise of the Tomb Raider, StarCraft 2 Legacy of the Void, Mario Maker, Splatoon, Battlefront, which I wasn't very high on, but a lot of people liked, and then a ton of great indies like Her Story, Ori and the Blind Forest, Helldivers. It's been a big year for gaming.
Yes.
I think bigger than last year, right? 2014, we saw Dragon Age Inquisition, Shadow of Mordor, Hearthstone, Shovel Knight, Transistor, Far Cry 4, Smash 4, Destiny, which was not really in its pure form in 2014. Right. I feel like that's a little weaker, 2014.
Right.
And makes sense because it was early life cycle for these new consoles.
Mm-hmm.
Then you look at 2013, things get a little tougher. BioShock Infinite, GTA 5, Last of Us, Tomb Raider, the reboot, of course, Super Mario 3D World, Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, Gone Home, Fire Emblem Awakening, A Link Between Worlds.
Yes.
Decent year. I still think doesn't top 2015.
2012?
2012, you've got games such as Dishonored, Journey, Mass Effect 3, The Walking Dead, Season 1, Borderlands 2, Halo 4, Xenoblade Chronicles, Diablo 3, XCOM, Enemy Unknown, Kingdoms of Amalur, Hotline Miami. That's a pretty dang good year, 2012. Yes. That's on par. That's almost on par. I don't know if it exceeds 2015, but it's close.
Mm-hmm.
2011, not as many big names, but games that have more weight in some ways, I think. Arkham City, Gears of War 3, Portal 2, arguably one of the best games of all time.
Yes.
Skyward Sword, Infamous 2, Uncharted 3, Skyrim, Bastion. And then here's one. The official release of Minecraft, when it's out of beta and everything, happened in 2011. Now, that's not a game that we're really all that interested in, but undeniably huge impact on the industry. Yeah. So 2011... some big impactful games there. 2010, we started out this decade with Mass Effect 2, Red Dead Redemption, God of War 3, Black Ops, Halo Reach, Alan Wake, Fable 3, Fallout New Vegas, Donkey Kong Country Returns, Mario Galaxy 2, the first part of StarCraft 2, Wings of Liberty, Metal Gear Solid, Peace Walker, Limbo, Super Meat Boy. That's a pretty quality year. What do you think, man? What's the best year this decade?
Oh, that's a tough one. That's really tough for me. I mean, I almost want to say 2012, just because Xenoblade Chronicles is my current favorite game of all time. But yes, even more than Link to the Past for me personally.
Even more than DDR?
Yes. Hey, that was a combined list, all right? And you know what? DDR is a great game. I don't care what anybody says, okay?
Yeah, I mean, it's like Tetris, man. It's got that formula.
Yeah, lasting appeal.
That ooze all over it.
And some of the machines, sadly, and I try not to go to those arcades.
Yes, correct.
Yes. But I don't know, because this year was a really, really good year for gaming.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Looking at this list and looking at these years, it's a really, really tough choice for me. I feel like I would have to lean toward probably one of the shorter years. I think I might have to lean towards 2011 because Arkham City is my favorite Arkham game.
Portal
Gears,
2.
Gears of War 3 had great multiplayer. Portal 2, one of the best games ever. Infamous and Uncharted are always great. Skyrim, one of my favorite games ever, and Bastion, one of my favorite games ever. So, oh man! But then you got 2010, you got Halo Reach, which is my favorite Halo.
It's just, I don't think we have to actually pick a year, because we could play all of these right now. As time goes on, it gets better.
It does, man. It's a
Yes.
good time to be a gamer.
Unless you hate choice.
Well, or unless you have no time to play games, which is what
Sad.
happens when you become old like us.
Hey, maybe we could just go back to school and then not study and just play games all the time again. I mean,
They have grants for that kind of thing, right?
I hope so, because they're not going to give me scholarships again.
Indeed. Well, let's talk a little bit about non-gaming, and we have hobbies. So two really quick things this week that I did. I started watching Jessica Jones on Netflix, the first episode. Have you seen this, like watched this or seen stuff about this?
Honestly, I've never even heard about it until I saw the show notes right before the show.
Holy crap, where has your Twitter been? So Jessica Jones
right here on my phone.
So you may remember there was an old Marvel series called Alias, not to be confused.
Yes.
Yeah, not to be confused with the Jennifer Garner TV show on ABC back in the day.
Which I thought was better, honestly.
Same. Yeah, I was never super into Alias, and maybe that's why Jessica Jones did not resonate with me all that well. It felt sort of like a show where they were really just kind of exploiting the character being female.
Yeah.
There's like all these scenes of her like walking around in her t-shirt and underwear in her apartment, and then she's like trying to be this badass superhero / detective, but it's never really explained what her backstory is or anything like that. And then there's just this extremely gratuitous, lengthy sex scene in there at some point. I don't know. It just felt very shallow, and like there wasn't going to be a lot of depth to the story. So typically I would give something longer than one episode. Maybe someday I will go back and watch this. And a lot of people have really given kudos to the show, and they've talked about actually how nice it is to see so many main characters be portrayed by women in the show. So, but to me, it didn't feel like that from the first episode. It felt just like there wasn't much substance to the story and the character, and I did not enjoy it. So that one's definitely going way back in the backlog, because I've still got to get caught up on Game of Thrones and all kinds of other stuff when it comes to shows. But I was hopeful that it would be really awesome because people were liking it. It's Marvel, and it had that kind of mature vibe that Daredevil had, which was an amazing Netflix series for season 1 for Marvel. But unfortunately, couldn't feel the same way about this one. But I did watch one of the best Star Wars movies, The Empire Strikes Back. Those who have been listening to the World Map podcast know I've been doing a rewatch of all the movies leading up to The Force Awakens, which means I got to hurry and watch Return of the Jedi before Thursday. But I did watch Empire Strikes Back this week. It's still good. It's still one of the best Star Wars movies. I mean, if you haven't seen it by now, you're not listening to this show.
Right. Need you say more.
So I will, going back and watching it, I still have a really tough time choosing between Empire and Return of the Jedi as my favorite Star Wars movie. I, to this day, have never really truly put a stake in the ground as to which one is my favorite.
I thought, but there's no pod racing scene in either of those.
That's true. No
Yeah.
pod racing, no whiny Anakin.
Yeah, but there is whiny Luke, so
Yeah, he is a little whiny in this one, and I think that's why I lean towards Return of the Jedi. But I also like seeing it now and having seen Mark Hamill like in the media more recently because of the movie coming out, I realized like how freaking young Mark Hamill was in The Empire Strikes Back and in A New Hope. So freaking young, especially in comparison to how he looks now. I mean, they all are, but man, he really is. Like, I never really got the dichotomy between like Han Solo calling him kid all the time.
yeah.
But going back and watching those, I realized, wow, he was considerably young.
Yeah, well, I mean, when I first watched them, I was like, a little kid, so I was like, oh, they're all grown ups.
Right, yeah, I think that's what it was. And now I realize, like, oh, he was much younger than, not much younger, but younger than Han Solo. And he really was just trying to, like, grasp the Force and deal with everything that was happening around him, finding out Darth Vader is his father, and spoiler alert, all those things.
I had no idea.
You slept through that part every time accidentally over the last 31 years.
Yes, and I did not pay attention to the plot at all in the prequels. So,
Wait, are you trying to tell me that the people in the prequels are somehow connected to the people in the original trilogy?
yeah, that's what I heard. I don't have evidence to verify this though. So
That doesn't sound right. That can't be right.
it was,
Because there's this guy named Obi-Wan Kenobi, but
that's different than Old Ben.
Right, yeah, Old Ben Kenobi, totally different. I mean, he hadn't even heard that name in a long time.
And I know whenever Darth Vader's mask gets taken off his head, he looks kind of like a Gungan.
Don't even start that conspiracy. not here, you don't. Oh man! All right. Well, let's give our listeners one little piece of advice before we say farewell for the week and call in the doctor. I'll tell you where it hurts.
Right here.
That's a bumper joke, by the way. Oh no! Not Tom Cruise's butt again. Man. I don't even understand how we're allowed to be on the internet sometimes.
Yeah. Well, at least it's not cable, so.
It's true. It's true. So my advice this week, a little tip, is Fallout 4. And I think folks who have played a lot of Fallout 4 by this point have realized this, or if you read a lot of wikis or something like that. But I feel like if you're getting into Fallout 4 like just now, or you haven't experimented with the systems in the game a lot and you've just been kind of playing through quests, I did want to mention that you can get a little more mileage out of your power armor than what you might think. So in Fallout 4, you have to have fusion cores to put in your power armor to essentially be able to do anything in it. You'll not be able to walk or move in your power armor if you don't have any fusion cores to stick in the suit. And you find these in the bottoms of various dungeons in the game. They are not super easy to come by. They're not like sprawled around the world everywhere. Like you actually legitimately have to do a pretty tough dungeon to find one sometimes. And so you, at any given time, the most of them you'll have is maybe 5, 6. And so you want to conserve them. You want to really only use your power armor when you need it to take down really tough quests. And one of the things, though, you can do in the game is tell your companion, as long as it's not dog meat, it has to be one of your humanoid type companions. You can tell them to get in the power armor. So if you can wear a suit or you can stay out of a suit, but you can have your companion in a suit. And they do not consume fusion cores. So as long as you have a fusion core in the suit, tell your companion to get in it, they can follow you around, use that suit, soak up a lot of damage, and they never burn any percentage off that fusion core. So then if you ever get back in the suit, it's right where you left it in terms of how much fuel is left. So I've been using this strategy a lot to conserve my fusion cores and just have my companion in it. I won't wear the power armor all the time, and I'll let them kind of go out in front and soak up damage, and I'll stand back and snipe and things like that. And then I have plenty of fusion cores in my inventory for when I want to get in the power armor and go really like go to war with somebody. So, little tip for you there. Just the tip. Just for you, Tom Cruise. In that risky business. We're looking for a few good men on the World Map podcast. So if you are one of those few good men or women, we'll take women too. Email us at worldmapcast@gmail.com with your questions, comments, feedback on the show. We do the live Google Hangout on air here each week around 3 o'clock Eastern time on Sundays. Then you can listen to the fully edited and produced podcast audio episode on iTunes, Stitcher, and on our website, worldmapcast@gmail.com, where you can find out more about us, including our gamer tags for all the platforms, listen to old back episodes, all that cool stuff. And we're also on some places you can interact with us throughout the week, namely Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, and Instagram as World Mapcast. We really need people to do us a favor. We're looking for a few good men and women to give us reviews on the iTunes store. We need some 5-star reviews if you think that perhaps we're deserving of them. Even if not, we'd still appreciate it. And help us move up those iTunes store rankings, get recognized a little bit. That's really the best way for us to be discovered and finally start gaining the momentum we need to dominate the world with the World Map podcast. So tell a friend about the show. Really seriously consider just taking a couple of minutes to go review us on the iTunes store. It really, you can do it on your phone. It's super freaking easy. So
Honestly,
just do it.
If you want to do it on my phone, you can.
If you want me to write the review for you, email me at worldmapcast@gmail.com. I will do that. You can copy and paste it. I am begging and pleading all of you to review the show.
No, you can't both beg and plead. You can beg and I'll plead.
I like it. I like it.
Division of labor.
I like it. That's how we do, man. We help each other out on this show. Also, everybody go find James Glorious on Twitter. Tell him what's up. Say what's up, man. Hashtag the world map. He'll figure it out someday when he uploads a profile picture. I think that's going to just about do it, man. What do you say?
I say that seems like it. Oh, never mind. I was looking up James Glorious again. Got a little distracted there. No, I say, yeah, that pretty much does it until next time.
We're popping smoke.